Today was a short ride and an opportunity to do some sightseeing. First was a stop at Pecos National Historic Park, another story of how invaders from Europe resulted in the decimation of the Pecos people. Touring the ruins and learning about the history were all part of paying respect and never forgetting. There is tragedy that affects all people. Remembering their struggles, simply remembering and never forgetting, is important. Leaving Pecos, I went into Santa Fe. I walked around the city. It was Cinco de Mayo in New Mexico. A margarita and too much red and green chili happened. Waiting for a table for dinner in the courtyard at the shed, I met a bunch of people. A guy who relocated from DC to New Mexico that same week. He was there with his 17-year-old blind dog and his boyfriend. Another couple from Austin on a weekend trip. We talked about what we were all up to, their dreams in starting a business, travel, and a range of Austin foodie topics. It was a good night. New Mexico, Cinco de Mayo in Santa Fe. There was a new rhythm to the journey. The adventure continues. I left Santa Fe to do a loop through Carson Forest, Taos, and a few other interesting places, with a stop at Taos Pueblo, a UNESCO site. Arriving at Taos Pueblo, I got off the bike. I had planned for a quick walk, but a guy getting into his car mentioned where to buy tickets and where to catch the tour. Conrad had the look of a cool hippie, much like my dad. He emphasized that the Taos Pueblo tour was a must. We got to talking and I answered Conrad's questions about what I was up to. He was excited to hear my story, and I was excited to learn about his move from North Carolina to New Mexico a couple decades earlier. We talked about what it was like to live in Taos, about his desire to live a simpler life. We talked about the middle way and a common sense approach to life. We talked and talked. Time passed and the conversation was easy, a chance encounter that I felt richer for. We took a photo, wished each other well, and I went off to the Taos Pueblo. What makes a good ride great? The people you meet on the road. Thanks, Conrad, for the great conversation and the top travel tips. Taos Pueblo is a UNESCO site. I visited and did the tour, which I highly recommend. It's a very moving and tragic story about the plight of Native American people, which is all too common a theme from history. Battles and conquests with European invaders to massacres at the hands of the US cavalry. But the tribes continue to persist, to carry their traditions and culture forward. The picture of the graveyard contained only the remaining bell tower of the church that was bombarded by the cavalry. There were 150 women and children inside. None survived. History matters, and the story of a people's perseverance in the face of tragedy is an important lesson. There are families still living in that pueblo today. History matters in the way that it informs us about this exact moment. History, this memory, this karma, this suffering, it is what we seek to transcend. This day was a long riding day, but the riding was great. I didn't feel as if I had a destination or deadline. I just wanted to keep riding. Santa Fe, New Mexico to Pagosa Springs, Colorado. But first I did the Enchanted Loop. With stops in Taos, Taos Pueblo, Red River, Eagle's Nest, and Angel Fire, The day was full of timeless moments and spirited riding. Completing the loop and leaving Taos, New Mexico, I then crossed the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge. It was late in the day, but I felt the pull of Colorado. I was loving the ride and just wanted to sit in the saddle and twist the throttle a bit more. Heading to Pagosa Springs, it was several hours of splendid isolation on the road. It was cloudy, cold, and the sun was setting. But there was a rhythm to the riding and the environment was beautiful. I had an encounter with two deer. As I came around to turn at speed, they were staring right at me. In what seemed like slow motion, the other waiting to see who would yield the right of way, they both turned and pranced off into the forest. It was a splendid encounter. Pulled into Pagosa Springs, unpacked the bike, and headed into town for a late dinner and a beer. What a day, so much gratitude. There definitely was a new rhythm to the trip. The adventure continues. Hey there, fellow travelers. I hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for coming along on the journey. I'll be posting new episodes pretty regularly, so if you're interested in following along, then I'd be really grateful if you did that YouTube thing. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell down below and you'll be informed when new stuff is uploaded. If you really like the video, then give it a big thumbs up and feel free to leave a cool comment as well. Thanks for traveling along. I'll see you on the road and next time soon on the channel.